Shalom. Back again with another lesson. Before I begin this lesson, I'd like to begin by giving all honor, glory, and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Recha, Kodash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, who I've learned this truth from. I want to say peace and salutations to you, Akim, you brothers out there laboring, pushing this word out in all truth and in sincerity, presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice, which is your reasonable service. I want to say shalom to you Israelite sisters that may be listening, also to you Israelites that are scattered across the four corners of the earth. You may look like these other nations, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is the chosen seed line. Shalom. So I'm not going to make this a long lesson. I just wanted to do this lesson because the Lord put, the spirit on my mind to talk about wisdom and the importance of it. So to start this lesson, I'll begin in the book of Proverbs, chapter 9. I'm going to read verse 10, which says, "The fear of the Lord Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding." So when you learn truth and you learn the fear and judgments of the Lord, you begin to understand and increase in wisdom. Because instead of you being disobedient to the Lord, you now want to start following his ways and doing the things that are pleasing to the Lord by keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. Now, we understand that you can't keep the law perfectly, and the law is not going to save you, but we have to make an honest attempt to try and keep the laws to the best of our abilities, right? A lot of Christians will try and teach that the law is done away with, which isn't the case. Yahweh Shai came and he did away with the law of sacrifice, right? So you didn't have to, sacrifice an animal for sin, right? Because Yahweh Shai is that sacrifice, right? So now we have to make an earnest attempt to keep the laws to the best of our ability, right? Which makes you wise. Now, in the book of Proverbs, again, chapter 4, verse 7, right? It says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding." So with all the knowledge of the scriptures that you pick up, you have to understand it as well. So you have to understand the correct breakdowns. This is why we have our teachers, starting with the head apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. They have the breakdowns and the true doctrine, right? So if you don't apply wisdom in your daily life, life can be that much more strenuous. Life is already hard as it is, especially with these curses on the Israelites, right? So it's good to get the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So when you apply wisdom to your life, life is a little bit less strenuous. You know what I mean? Life is a little bit not as chaotic, should I say? Even though under the curses, you're still going to go through things, but it's not as strenuous, right? So in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, right? We go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 21. And the reason I want to go here is because it talks about, using wisdom in, let's say, for example, a kingdom, right? In running a kingdom, right? So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 21. It says, "If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore." Right? So, ruling a kingdom, requires wisdom, right? True power lies in wisdom, meaning true stability of a throne or a kingdom, rather than just relying on military might or political power. You would have a better outcome ruling in wisdom. Right? True wisdom leads to serving the people rather than abusing the power for personal gain. If you look at America, how America's being run, that kingdom's people, the American people, they're all miserable. They're all unhappy at the state of the way things are for them. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're living on, the breadline. They're literally struggling to pay their rent or purchase food, right? It's just all the excitement and the fun of that kingdom has been squashed, basically, right? So an example of a bad kingdom that's not using wisdom is America, right? And that's why that kingdom is failing and, it's crumbling, right? It's falling. So, as I mentioned before, by applying wisdom of these scriptures throughout your daily life, you know, you'll see the improvements, right? The improvements of everyday life, improves with wisdom when you apply wisdom to your life. And that's the importance of gaining wisdom, right? So we'll go back to the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 1. And it reads, "Hear ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law." Right? So the Old Testament and the New Testament is good doctrine, right? Including the Apocrypha. So Old, New, and Apocrypha is good doctrine. And conduct yourself, allows you to conduct yourself in wisdom, navigating through this wicked world and the way things currently are in this reality that we live. A lot of things are out of order. People are out of order. People are crazy these days, right? So using wisdom, right, can lead to a better all round way of life, right? So in the book of Proverbs, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of gems in Proverbs, right? In the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, you start from verse 1, it says here, I'll highlight it. It says, "A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger." Right? Verse 2 says, "The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness." Right? So if you get into an altercation, for example, get into an altercation with somebody, a soft answer, right? A simple, "Oh, my fault, I'm sorry," right? "I apologize." That can turn away wrath, right? But a foolish person is like, "Man, F you, and I ain't apologizing to you." That can stir up anger. You know what I mean? Like, using wisdom in certain situations is wise for you, right? Like it says, "A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger." It says, "The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright." So you use knowledge, use wisdom. You think about what you say before you say it, right? Sometimes you don't have to say something to somebody. Yeah, emotions get involved, but you can turn away wrath and a bad outcome just by like learning what to say, when to say it, right? But it says, "But mouth of fools pour out foolishness." Yeah. So again, by saying something silly, to somebody in the heat of the moment may not be the best or wisest decision, right? And that's why we say that the laws, statutes, and commandments, they they help us in our everyday lives, right? So when you look at the commandments, you got laws for civil laws on how to treat people. You got ceremonial laws, right? You've got high holy days. You got dietary laws, right? So dietary laws that goes into the things you can eat, the things that you're not supposed to eat, right? Which if you eat bad food, you eat like stuff that ain't good for your body's gonna end up breaking down faster. Almost like if you're putting wrong oil, wrong fuel in a car, right? Like you put diesel in a gasoline engine, petrol engine, your car's gonna break down fast, right? And that's gonna be very expensive to fix, right? But if you give your car, you treat it, you put it through services and all the other stuff to look after your car's gonna last a lot longer, right? So that's why the laws are important because they teach us these things on how to live, right? Everything that the Lord wants from us is for us to be healthy, to live, not put us through. That's why smoking it destroys your lungs, right? So it's not wise to smoke. It's not wise to vape. It's not wise to damage your body, right? Get exercise, get out and walk, get out and run, hit the gym, it's good for your body. It'll make you feel a lot better. You take care of your body. You give your body the right, the right things. Minerals, vitamins, all of that other good stuff. Your body will be like a teenager. You know what I mean? In some cases, right? So that's why we say that the wisdom, having wisdom, is very important in this life. Now, how do you get understanding of these scriptures, right? Mainly, the best way is to go to one of the elders, apostles, the brothers that are out here of Great Millstone that are breaking these scriptures down. But it says through thy precepts. Matter of fact, let me turn there now quickly. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 104, I believe. Yeah. So it says, this is Psalms 119 and verse 104. It says, through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. All right. So the beautiful thing about the Old Testament and the New Testament is if it says something in the Old Testament, it's going to repeat it in the New Testament, but it may come with a little bit more context, right? This is what a lot of Christians don't like to do. They call it Hebrew hopscotch. You'll run into another scripture. It's like, no, I'm giving you the complete understanding, right? That's why Christianity fails a lot, because they can't break the scriptures down right and they get the wrong understanding. This is why it says, through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore, I hate every false way. Right? 105 says none. It says, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Right? So the scriptures, you know, they're a guide for us to follow. Right? How to apply wisdom in our daily lives. Right? This is a guide, a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. When you follow these scriptures, you're following them to a better outcome in life altogether, right? So I'm gonna read one last scripture because, like I said, I just wanted it to be a quick lesson while I had it on my mind. This is the book of Proverbs again, and this is chapter 16. I'm gonna read verse 16. It says, "How much better is it to get wisdom than gold? Because wisdom is even more precious than gold, right? Having the wisdom is worth more than gold." It says, how much better is it to get wisdom than gold, and to get understanding rather to be chosen than silver, right? So there you go. I mean, it is pretty clear that having wisdom is better than gold, and, when you have wisdom and you apply it to your everyday life, life isn't as hard as it has to be, right? So when you apply that wisdom, you don't do silly things that you can avoid. There's certain things you can avoid. And yeah, it just makes life easier, right? So I pray that this lesson has been edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. I'm going to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone. I want to say shalom to my brothers, Israelite brothers out there pushing this word out in all truth and in sincerity. I want to say shalom to sisters that may be listening, and also to Israelites that are scattered across the four corners of the earth. And it's on to the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.